Hi, my name is Megan Itavle, and today I'm going to show you how to use the advanced calibration tools in LUMOplay. If you need to use these tools, chances are you're doing an installation that is on a curved surface or is in a regular aspect ratio, or you've installed your camera in a way that is outside of our recommendations, which are listed on our website at help.lumoplay.com under the equipment and setup section of our help center. If you're doing something weird like that, my first recommendation is that you contact us because we can help you and save you a lot of headaches. But if you are interested in learning how to do the advanced calibration, I'm going to show you the simplest way to approach it. And the first step is to follow the normal calibration steps and get as close as you can with those before you open the advanced calibration tools. So if you haven't done that yet, I'll leave a link up there somewhere that links to a video that will show you step by step how to do that, and then you can come back to this video once that's all done. So once you're done, there are two ways to open the advanced calibration tools. The first way is to find it in the menu. So clicking on the top left-hand corner and then going into Preferences and then Advanced Calibration. And then the other way is there's a fast open if you just press Function F2, and that'll just launch it right away. The advanced calibration tools were really designed for setups that don't meet a typical setup recommendation. And so those are things like where the camera is in a weird spot or where the surface that you're projecting on isn't straight. A lot of the settings that are available in here are the same as the settings that are in the regular calibration. And so if you've already set these up with your regular calibration and they're working fairly well, you don't need to touch any of this. If you haven't done that yet, or you have done it and it's not working out super well for you, you can make your adjustments to things like sensitivity, delay, detection range in here. I'll just very quickly go through what all of these settings do. Sensitivity is literally that. It is the amount of data that the camera is sending to LUMOplay. It's not increasing the frames per second, but it is increasing the number of data points that it's sending based on motion. So you'll see much smaller motions when the sensitivity is very high. And when you turn the sensitivity down, you're going to see far less reaction. And this can be really useful if your camera is noisy. You can sometimes deal with that by turning the sensitivity down a little bit. Or if you're in an environment where the lighting is changing a lot. So if you're in a club and you have a lot of flashing lights, technically if you're using an IR camera, it shouldn't be impacted by that. But if there is RI bandwidth light in the lights that are being used on a theater or in a live performance, it can sometimes kick off the sensitivity. Turning it down might help you. Noise reduction is something that reduces the actual feed from the camera. So if you have a noisy feed, and this usually comes up with older cameras, something that you've been using a lot, cameras where there's a lot of scratches, or in very dusty environments where the camera is reacting to things that are in the air. So again, in clubs, if you're using a hazer, that can sometimes be an issue. You can adjust this noise reduction. Usually a level of 2 is a good default, and you can even turn this down to 0 if you want to make it more sensitive and you're not having issues with those noises. The delay is something that you should never touch unless you've made a game that requires a delay. So if you do need to touch this, you will know it because you will have commissioned a custom game from us and we'll tell you you need to adjust this. Otherwise, just leave it alone. And then the detection range should be set if you're doing an interactive floor or wall to about a foot range in front of your display. So you should know how far your camera is from your projection surface. And then you can use these little arrows to really adjust the exact area that you want to track. Now I want to talk a little bit about interpolation. LUMOplay's interpolation is by default set to elliptic. And what that does is it creates a gradient in the depth feed that allows us to track closer things a little more accurately and further things a little less accurately. It just basically creates a feed, a noisy or a motion feed that gives us a little bit more variability in what we're tracking. When you are using the advanced calibration tools, 9 times out of 10, if your system isn't tracking as accurately as you need it to, or in as small a range as you need it to, you're going to set your interpolation to step, which basically creates a black and white image. And that means that anything that is moving in your range is treated the same. All of the other options here are things that give you a slight variation on the way that that gradient is treated. And the only time that you would ever use those is if you are projecting on an irregular or curved surface. If that's the case, again, it's much better to contact us rather than muddling your way through figuring out exactly which one of these is going to work for you, because although these settings are very flexible and they will help you solve a lot of issues in setups that are set up irregularly, it's going to be different for everyone. So there is no one size fits all when it comes to these settings. But the step setting is the one that we typically recommend people try if they're not getting the accuracy that they want. And when you set this step setting up, what you're going to do is you're going to drag your detection range over until your screen turns just until it turns white. And then that's the top range of my detection. And then I'm going to drag this one over until it turns black. And then I'm going to just try and push them as close together as I can get them. And what I'm aiming for is for the screen to just turn black again, and just to have the thing that I want to track. So what you'll notice is that where we came into this not really seeing the shape of anything that was on the floor, now by just fiddling with this a little bit and getting it as close to that noisy feed, which is basically where it's hitting the floor, as possible, I'm now able to actually see Momo's tail. So it's giving me a much more precise tracking. Again, I don't really need this for most of the effects that I'm doing, and it does run the risk of drifting. Sometimes the cameras can move just a little bit, and if they do, especially in a setup like what I have here, where my camera is on a boom stand and it's very easy to accidentally bump into it, having something this precise is actually a liability. So I would only recommend doing something precise in an installation where something is permanently installed and it's not going to move, and also where there is somebody on site that can make adjustments to it if something happens and it goes a little out of whack. But yeah, if you want to do something that's extremely precise, this will definitely get you there. And if I launch one of my more precise apps now, you'll see that I can't make this puck go by moving my hand over it because it's only tracking the area directly above the floor, but it will track my feet very accurately. So that's how you use the advanced calibration tools. I hope this is helpful. Again, if you need any help at all, feel free to reach out to us at info@lumoplay.com and you'll reach me and I will set up a remote session to help you calibrate your display.